my sweets, welcome to my how to draw manga lesson. In today's tutorial, you'll learn how to draw a cute manga girl. This is a level 1 tutorial for absolute beginners. So let's get started. We're going to draw the head, and this is basically going to just start with a circle. So in the middle of your page, draw a circle. And if you want, you can trace something to make the circle, like some tape or a cup. But I'm just going to freehand it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Remember to keep your lines really nice and light and loose. Don't hold on to your pencil rigidly and try to draw really hard in this stage, because this is a sketching stage. Alright, now we're going to draw a line angled. It's not quite in the center of the circle. This line would mark the circle in half. This line marks it almost in half, but is tilted. This is because this line is to be the center of the face, and she's looking slightly in this direction, so the center of the face is going to be farther over to our left. Then we divide the circle again, this time much lower, and again it is tilted. And it should look like this. Alright, so this line here is going to help us place the eyes. This is about the eye level on her head. And below the eye level, along this center line of the face, we're going to place the nose and the mouth. First though, we need to continue on with the face. So starting from this line marking the eye level, draw a line down against the edge of the circle and have it stop right at the bottom of the circle. Then just have the lines meet at this center line, curve it a little, and now we have the chin. We can start erasing some of the guidelines now. We no longer need the bottom of the circle or the line that was laid against the bottom of the circle. Okay, let's keep going. Before we add the details of the face, we're going to add the details of the body. So since her head is tilted, her shoulders are going to be a little bit higher. Imagine that she's leaning forward and sort of tilting her head as she smiles. So let's draw the neck, which goes in the center of the face. And it doesn't look like it's in the center here, but it actually is, because this portion of the face looks smaller than this one because it's farther away from us. And then we'll draw the shoulders. And as a very cute character, she's not going to have a very realistic body, so the shoulders are going to be far smaller than they would be in real life. So the shoulders are just these two lines that come down from the neck and curve gently down where they will join to the arms. Now for the ears. The ears go right below the eye level. So we see this line for the eye level. We'll draw the ears, which is like a half heart shape. If we continued, we would have a little heart here. So a half heart shape on each side, but less of it will be visible on this side if you choose to have it visible at all. And then we'll erase this line because we're going to be altering the shape of the jaw later. It will not connect to the head like this, but I'll explain that in a minute. Let's finish up the ear. So we add a little curve down here as it connects to the head, and then inside the ear we'll do an upside down U shape, which goes to the outside of the ear, it then comes back in, and then has a little hook at the bottom. And near the top, we'll add one more line, and now we have the detail of the ear. Alright, let's finish up the shape of the head. a normal human head is built like this. We have the top of the head, and on this side, the forehead connects cleanly with the cheek. But on this side, the back of the head first goes in and then connects with the jawbone here. So instead of having the lines connect cleanly here, we're going to have to carve out the jawline where the head abruptly goes in at the ear and comes down to the chin. So let's trace the outline of our circle and cut in right at the bottom of the ear. Alright, now we have the basic shape of the head and body, and it's time for the fun part, putting in the eyes. So what we're going to do first is put a line on the edge of the face, coming down to this point right here. This is the angle of the jawline, which is not very pronounced because we want this girl to look soft. But we're putting this line here to show that the eye will not go beyond this point. Let's do the same on this side. And then we can erase any guidelines outside those parameters. Alright, now for the eyes, we'll draw a large oval, but not too big. In some kinds of anime, you'll see really, really huge eyes, but we're just going to do a basic style, and her eyes are going to be big compared to real life, but not outrageously huge. And draw a similar shape on the other side. Alright, now that we know that, we can erase this eye line guideline. And the reason I keep erasing guidelines every time I'm done with them is because I want the picture to be as clean as possible. You see, if I finish the eyes with that guideline still there, it might be hard to erase it, so it's better to erase it right away. And then we will cut off some of the top. And now we'll draw a slight curved shape there. At the top of the eye, over the pupil here, it's not very curved, but once it gets off the pupil, it goes down much more. And then we add a hook at the edge. And this is our first set of eyelashes. Let's do the same to the other side. A slight curve over the pupil, and a much more pronounced curve once we get off it. Okay, time to erase another set of guidelines. And this eye might be a little bit too close to the other one, so I'm just gonna move it over real quick. And if you know how eyes are put together, if you have a set way of doing it, it's very easy to make and remake matching eyes on your characters. So don't just finish one eye and then move on to the next one. Work on each one step by step so that they can look exactly the same. Alright, that spacing looks a lot better. Let's darken the irises a little and erase whatever we don't like. Let's give her some more eyelashes. We're going to follow this curve on the top here, and we're going to draw a delicate line curving up right at the top, right at the peak of the eyelid. And let's do the same for this side. And then one more long lash at the edge. And now she has glamorous eyelashes. And let's continue. Let's give her some eyelids more than this darkened stuff. With the human eye, we have a shape like this. And this right here is an eyelid. The top of the eye, the eyelash place. But above that, we have another fold, which is more pronounced when you're drawing Japanese characters at times, and this is the eyelid. So whether you have it very close to the eye or very high above the eye will adjust how your character looks. Sometimes having it very close to the eye makes the character look a lot younger. And above that line we have the eyebrow. So let's apply this principle to this girl. I have two angular lines following the curve of the eyelashes here. And those are eyelids. And then above that, we'll draw some very thin eyebrows. On girl characters, you want the eyebrows to be thin so that she looks really feminine. Thick eyebrows are for more masculine characters. And if you give a girl thick eyebrows, she'll be instantly recognizable. So that's a technique you can use when designing characters to make a girl look really tough or just interesting. Give her thick eyebrows. But for now, I'm just going to give her some thin ones. And we'll add to her gentle expression by having these eyebrows angled up. So if she looked worried, they would crease at the edges. And now she looks like, oh no, something terrible has happened. But if we just leave it straight at the edge, it looks like she's maybe very happy to see someone, or she's just calm and gentle looking. Okay, we'll add more detail to the inside of the eyes later. For now, let's go and place the mouth and nose. So, if you want, you can redraw the center line for the face so that you can know where to place the nose. The nose will go right here, and the mouth will go right here. We don't want to add a lot of detail to the nose. In manga, things like ears and noses are left without a lot of detail so that they don't distract from the main feature, which is usually the eyes or the hair. So don't try to make a very realistic nose. It's basically a shallow, upside down V. And then for the mouth, we'll give her a little smile, which is a very gently curving arch. And in the center of this, erase a small amount. This erasing a small amount of the mouth indicates where the lips curve in. So let's take a look at that. This is how the mouth is built, but usually in anime we don't actually draw the lips because it's not very detailed. So if you actually outline the lips, it looks like she's wearing lipstick. So instead of outlining the lips and putting in all this detail, we just want to show the center of the mouth, the place where the lips go in, and the lower lip. And we do this by having a small break in the center of the mouth and having a small line at the bottom. So let's just put in a small line at the bottom, very, very, very small. And there we have her mouth. Okay, now we can work on the eyes. So I'm just going to darken the lashes a little bit, and then we will add shading to these eyes. What we're going to do first is cut the irises in half with a line that curves up. And then we will put an oval on the right side of each iris. Don't have it mirror image, don't have the shine, which is what this oval is, on different sides, or it'll look very odd. Since the light source is coming from this direction, the shines will both be on the same side as the light source. So while you don't always have to visualize a light source on your characters, it's something to remember when you're drawing highlights and shadows so that it looks consistent. Let's shade in this top part now, making sure not to shade in that oval that we set aside. And then, in the center, we'll draw another oval, this time darkening it very much. And those are the pupils. We'll darken a small amount at the bottom. And that's how to shade in simple female eyes. I'm going to darken the edges a little bit since it still looks kind of sketchy. Okay, time to move on to the hair. And I'm going to keep this very, very simple because hair can be very difficult sometimes, but I'm going to explain it and we'll go through it slowly so that you can draw it exactly the way I do. Alright, first we need to decide where the part is going to be. Hair is pretty much always parted, or it comes out from some point on the head. So the point that I like to part it on is usually right here, and we'll indicate it by a slightly tilted line. Okay, from this line, we'll start drawing a large curve that curls around the head, getting wider as it comes down, and it'll stop right here at the base of the neck. We'll do the same for the other side, but keep in mind that since she's tilting her head over this way, this side of the hair is going to appear longer than this side since there's a lot more of it to fall as she tilts her head. Alright, that's the basic shape of the hair. Let's work on the bangs now. So the shape we're going to be using most often for the bangs is this. So just practice drawing this shape, which is sort of like a flower petal. It's like a square, that's a rectangle that's been rounded off at the edges and is smaller on this end than on this end. And we will be putting little random breaks in it to show the strands of hair. Let's start. Because her head shape is curved like this, that's how the bangs are going to be curved. Alright, that's one section of the bangs. Let's move on to another. You want them to vary in thickness. This one is far thicker than this one, and that makes it look a lot more natural. They should also come down at different heights, but they should all, depending on the hairstyle at least, and this girl has some pretty long bangs, but in anime it's normal, they should just barely touch her eyes. And this one is going to partially obscure her ear. Now for clarity, I'm going to erase the head guidelines that will be covered by the hair. Okay, this hairstyle is starting to come together. But before we are done, we need to add another strand of hair that will fall in front of some of the face and the ear. And this is a curved line like this, curving down from this part of the bangs and curving right in front of the ear. Like a very long triangle falling down. And we'll do the same on this side, which covers up that other ear and part of her face. Okay, these are just the guidelines for the hair, so let's go in and start adding detail. What we're going to do is we're going to first make this part a little bit more noticeable by having the lines dip down farther and end up sharper. And then we're going to follow this curve of the hair, and we're going to make a strand that comes out from the main body of the hair. Then we're going to go back to following the original and curve in at the bottom. And now let's move over to the other side, where we'll do basically the same thing, except the curve comes down farther. Unless you want your character to have a really carefully styled look and like they spent a long time getting their hair to look like it does, try not to have it end up symmetrical. So on this side the strand is up higher, and on this side the straight strand is far lower. This makes it look far more natural. I'm going to add another line right above this point, and this will show that there's more hair coming up and out on the other side. Alright, let's continue with bangs. What we'll do is we'll add some strands here. We'll sort of cut up these original shapes. Let's add a stray spike of hair and then do the same on this side. Some should go very high up, some should stay low, and some can end up spiky at the bottom. The point is to just make it look very random. Okay, that's it for the bangs, except that I would like to put in some more lines going higher up. This shows that the bangs are in front of this section of the hair. And we're segmenting it off with these lines that go almost to the top of the hair. Let's clean up the drawing a little bit before we continue. Alright, now to finish up the main part of the hair back here. It's basically the same as the bangs. We're just going to break it up into smaller parts, except this time the strands, the breaks in the strands will be much bigger and go much higher. Alright, since we're done, basically it's time to darken up the lines. If you want, you can ink in the face and the hair at this stage, but I'm going to continue working with my pencil. Remember to keep the face lines delicately curved. No sharp angles on this one. Okay, we're basically done now. And for a finishing touch, I just want to draw a school uniform. You know, the traditional sailor uniform that all the manga girls wear. And that's just going to be pretty easy. We're going to draw 2 angled lines down right on the edges of the neck. And we're going to draw some over here as well. We're going to draw a triangle in the center. And then, to show that it's cloth on top of her, we'll draw some small humps on the edge. These are wrinkles. And we'll slowly curve it into the original shape of her shoulders until we get down here when it will billow out again. Then we can follow these guidelines and curve them down just a little bit more. Ink in this triangle, which is part of the undershirt, and put in that blue stripe that it always has. And we can put in the stripes here as well. Depending on the anime, these uniforms will have 1 stripe or 2, but I prefer 2 stripes. And we will add an oval here where it comes together, and just bring all the lines to meet at that oval. Okay, it's time to shade it in. And to shade a drawing in very lightly, you want to hold the pencil far up the back of it. And just touch the paper only a little and make short, consistent movements. And you probably don't want to do a shading technique like this unless you're deliberately trying to. This is called cross-hatching, and it's used a lot in illustrations, but if you're not intentionally trying to do it, it can make your drawing look very messy. So for now, just make sure you hold the pencil so that all the lines are going in the exact same direction. Alright, my sweets, that is it for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful to you guys. Don't forget to tell me what you thought of it in the comments. And become a sweet by hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my videos. And I will see you guys later.